And could you excuse me, but as I already said today, I thought that today lecture for the students. At the first, I prepared a movie of our university. It's only on 1 minute and 30 seconds. So if you don't mind, I'd like to show you, and I hope you will enjoy.
Ain't nothing much I wanna do today, except soaking in the sweet sunshine. My troubles, they can wait for another date, and I'm leaving all my cares behind. With no particular place to be, no particular place to go. There's a feeling that I got, and I just can't stop, and I wanna let the whole world know. Yeah, yeah. Get down now, it's alright, 'cause today there will be nothing but blue skies. Get down now, it's alright, we'll be dancing to the music in the sunlight. Get down now, it's alright, 'cause today there will be nothing but blue skies. Get down now, it's alright, we'll be dancing to the music in the sunlight. And the fall.
Thank you for watching our official movie, Kobe Gakuin University. And then we have the two campuses in the Kobe city, and we also have the over 10,000 students in our two campus. And as you see, one campus is a new campus is a very beautiful campus by the sea. So today, I think many important persons from magnificent African universities. So I do hope we will have the good relationship and partnership in near future. Now let me allow introduce myself again. And I'm a Professor Okabe, Kobe Gakuin University, and my PhD is in economics, and I'm also recently I'm specialized in the Eastern European economy, especially Ukraine, and so on. I'm also an honorary professor, National Academy Public Administration, under the President of Ukraine. And today, sorry. I have a presentation entitled "Why Did an Economic Miracle and the Breakthrough Become Possible in Japan After World War II?" Because as I already said, today I thought I'm sorry, this is my mistake, but I just thought almost all participants are African young students, so maybe they are very interested in the Japanese economy. So basically, I'm an economic historian, so I'd like to read. I choose this title and this contents, but I do hope it will be enjoyed for you too. And then, dear colleagues, could you tell me your opinions? How old is the oldest company in Japan? It is a construction company, Kongo Gumi, and was founded in the 578th year at the end of the 6th century. And the next oldest enterprise is the traditional Japanese hotel Keunkan in Yamanashi Prefecture. Established in the, this hotel established in the 705th year in 18th century. The Guinness World Records has recognized it as the oldest hotel in the world. In fact, six and the world 10 oldest companies still have been in Japan. This is not my opinion. This you can easily find it in Wikipedia. And in other words, the most important thing for the Japanese company is to constantly. The most important thing for Japanese company is to constantly continue their business. This is a rare phenomenon in the world. For example, as I already said, I'm an economic historian, and when I got a PhD degree, my specialty was British economic history. British economic in the British economic history in 18th century, many company occurred under the first industrial revolution. But the successful entrepreneurs went out of the business and became like what can I say, aristocrats. They are almost and of course, and for example, if I will ask you or some student in the world, what is a Japanese famous company, for example, of course, and they can reply, students, maybe the students can reply, for example, Toyota, Nissan, Sony, etc. But in UK, in Britain, there are almost no companies with a long history in the UK. As I already said, after entrepreneurs earn much money, they quitted their business to become like aristocrats. In Japan, Japanese proverb says, persistence make us stronger. In my opinion, if companies in your countries have existed for more than 1,000 years, as well as Japan, then your country's economy will more develop in the same way as Japan. But of course, I can understand you cannot wait 1,000 years, and it's of course a normal feeling. So I'd like to say today I'd like to other stories. Yes, as I already said, I will have done. I have to tell a different story. And now Japan is a member of the G7 uh, country and one of the highly economic developed countries. But this progress has not been continuous as we have had diversity and many industrial gaps in the Japanese history. And Michael Peary and Charles Sable, they are economic historians, said in their book, Second Industrial Divergence, published in the 1984, the Japanese economy developed not only as a mass production system, but also as a flexible specialization. For example, simple proof of this is Japanese cars and the electric appearances. Toyota, as I already said, very famous car company. Toyota can produce and sell high quality cars around the world. On the other hand, the car has many features, even though that we did not use. We Japanese have ideas and mass production and skill. In the photos in this slide, on the top right, Seven Stars Express in Japan in Kyushu Islands. The interior of this train car is decorated with traditional Japanese wood products. So this is of course an train car is a modern technology, highly modern technology, but then inside is our traditional manufacturing. And of course, in left side, as you can see, one craftswoman making something our traditional wood products. So such kind of ideas, our good product is combined both side old fashioned manufacturing and new technology. And of course, as you know, most expensive car in Toyota is a Lexus, but the Lexus is also made by such kind of idea. So when you visit Japan, and I think some lectures of universities already come to our university or Japan, but next time you will come to Japan, I recommend you to take this wonderful train and to admire the Japanese skill. And the system of the Japanese economy also has a diversity, as already said. Many Japanese economic historians believe that the fundamental system of economic policy making did not change from the 1940 to 2000. What happened in 1940? At that time, to fight against America, all tax revenue were integrated into the central government, and the centralization of Japan was completed. Centralization was based on two things. The first was the creation of the Cabinet Planning Council, Kikakuin, in 1937. The main task of this agency was mobilization of the army and the political mobilization of the army. Most of the brightest and smartest public servants from all Japanese ministry were selected for this department. Another is the National Mobilization Act in Japan in 1938. The law on mobilization and the law was made for the mobilization. This please wait a little bit. Next slide. I cannot move. Yes. This was planned by the bureaucrats' economy. But this economic system, which was the basis for the bringing post-war Japanese economy to the Japanese economy miracle, was created around 1940. The war economy was inherited from the post-war period. And after Japan lost the war against America, the U.S. occupational army reformed the Japanese political system, including the status of our emperor. Before the war, many Japanese consider the emperor was God. I mean, God means like living God. This on the slide, right side photo by 1945. Uh, Emperor wear the gorgeous uniform, behave like God, and the Japanese people believe such like that. But after the war, of course, our country defeated by America, but our new democratic constitution stipulated in Article 1, Emperor is a symbol of the status and unity of the Japanese people. This is a left side photo on the slide. This is a very good example. Emperor existed before and after the war, its succession. But the status of the emperor was quite different before and after the war. It's a I said gap in Japan. Thus, Japan has a continuity and gap in various industries, including the economy, like this change. Why this economic miracle happened in Japan after World War II? A very simple reason is that our capitalism is a mixed market economy. Don't get me wrong, but I think some part of our economic system were like an socialist planned economy. When I say about it, of course, many foreign specialists, many foreign students are very surprised. But then some Japanese economists also agreed with my idea. It is based on the centralization and the industrial policy by bureaucrats. Professor Chama Johnson, University of California, focused on the Japanese economic bureaucracy, including the Ministry of International Trade and the Industry. This is a leading industry our state plan between 1950 and 1970. At the time, Japanese bureaucrats were said to be the smartest people in the world, and the Ministry of International Trade and Industry planned and decided which industry were first priority for development of Japan. During the 1950s, Japan was not a rich country. During the 1960s, but after the succession of the 1964 Tokyo Olympic Games, which first took place in Asia, Japan became richer than 1950s. So bureaucrats developed capital investment plans from the governmental budget. So I do hope, if I'm not mistaken, today many brilliant students and many rectors and the president of the African university participated here. So I do hope your education and your graduates will become, of course, for the in the business field, not only business field but also the governmental sector. I hope they will becoming a good public servant and leading your each countries. So on. I would like to, and finally, I would like to give another good example during the economic miracle in Japan. This is Shinkansen. Shinkansen is our Japanese name of the bullet train that runs at around 300 kilometers per hour. This train system is known to be safest in the world, and of course, now on China can make an same kind of trains, but of course, I believe it is cheaper than Japanese Shinkansen, but Japanese one is the safest in the world. Shinkansen launch was scheduled for the 1964 Olympic Games, and the cost of building Shinkansen was initially estimated at nearly 200 billion yen. It's almost same like an 80 million US dollar. Which was it was raised in the form of the governmental loans, rail bonds, and low interest loan from the World Bank. World Bank provided a loan, a low interest rate. I suppose this is around 5% a year. Initial estimated, however, were underestimated. So on, of course, budget was a double number. So on, the final contribution for the World Bank was paid in 1981. Japan already became a developed country, but still paid a loan for the World Bank. So I think this is a very good example, and even like a Japan World Bank given loan the money for the Japanese government. We made a brilliant train. So I hope this is a good example for the developing country. Japan owes money to the foreign countries, such like a period. But then we made the best infrastructure in the world. But at the same time, the convenience of transport in Japan was one of the factors of Japanese economic miracle and the most important infrastructure of our time. We can go anywhere. For example, we can return from the business trip of more about 1,000 kilometers during the day. Uh, I know that today participants, if in the participants, if students will be there, I hope they will be next leaders in any sector of each countries, especially government officials. So I believe that you must find the best method of the policy making, so that your country will soon be developed country as Japan. Thank you for attention. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much. That I think there's a lot of really great information, and I think a lot of our guests were able to see certain things, and I think that it was really interesting. And we have a question from Dr. Michael Hopkins from and his question is, Professor Okabe, did you ever get involved in Kenya?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
As I already said at first in my presentation, I've never been in Africa, and so on. I have not so much knowledge. But yes, I hope to visit soon. Yes.
Yeah, well, I think you'll find it a very interesting and fascinating place, and especially Kenya. That's where I usually end up. And I must say that I think that there'd be a very warm welcome. Also, I'm really hoping that Kobe Gakuen reestablishes some of the ties with places like Management University of Africa.
Yes.
So yeah, it sounds really great. Now, Dr. Okabe, we have a bit of time. If you wanted to do a breakout sessions, we could make 23 or 24 rooms, and everybody can have a short kind of discussion break. If you had any questions that you wanted to ask, because I think for a lot of us, a lot of people globally, Japan really is a leader. And part of yesterday and today's discussions were all about how are we going to apply some of our leadership. So, Dr. Washington, what did you think?
I think Professor Miller, I think this is an if you don't mind, of course, and no need to the small session, and it's okay, a Q&A like the conference.
Okay, sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So if anybody has any questions, please type them into the chat, or you may ask. And Dr. Okeo, may I ask you to make some comments, please?
Thank you very much, Professor Miller, and thank you very much, Professor Okabe. That was a very interesting presentation, and true to your culture, you treated us to a virtual tour of Kobe Gakuen University. And I saw very, very happy students there, and that was what a way to introduce yourself. I think that was very, very commendable, and thank you very much. The students looked happy. They did some very interesting informations there, and that shows us the culture that you have in Japan. And that probably talks of or informs how Japan managed to recover so quickly from the unfortunate bombing by a giant. If you compare the United States and Japan, Japan is so tiny, it's an island compared to United States, which is almost a continent. And I think for me, it is Japan who won the world, the war. It is not Japan who lost the war, because you lost to a continent, okay? Were you fighting against a country of equivalent size as Japan, obviously you would have won, okay? So against America, in my judgment, you won the Second World War. And it is interesting that what is keeping Japan going is the old tradition. You have companies that were started way back in 578, okay, which is a construction company. You have a hotel which is as old as was started in 705, the year 705. At that time, I don't know what Kenya looked like, but perhaps obviously there was no country like Kenya, because Kenya came into being just recently, about 50-something years ago, in the 1960s, early 60s. So I think that history tells the path of development of Japan, and I think that is very, very important for us to copy from. As a young nation in Kenya, we need to borrow from your saying in Japan, which says persistence makes us stronger. And I think Kenya, we need to borrow from that. Those sort of sayings that persistence makes us stronger. In Japan, of course, it is that persistence and looking at that history, that rich history of very old companies that are still existing, and the mass production concept and combining it with flexible specialization. I think that is really telling in the way Japanese products are penetrating the entire world, because how you combine mass production and flexible specialization, that is the true avenue or environment for or panacea for growth, because you allow specialization even as you mass produce, so that you can satisfy the masses and also come up with quality, products and services that can withstand the test of the time. And I think that is very good. Your industrial policy that led to the development of the bullet train way, that is exciting. A bullet train doing 300 kilometers per hour, that can crisscross this country in just a matter of 2 to 3 hours, and you're done from say Mombasa to Malaba, which is the farthest. You do it in a matter of 3 hours. Right now we are doing it in several hours, perhaps one whole day, and we are not done. So I think those are very, very interesting sort of parts of development that Japan has gone through. And there's indeed a lot for us to borrow as Kenya from Japan. And we challenge our scientists, we challenge people at the academics or the academia to be able to rise to the occasion, carry out research, borrow from the concepts that Japan has, presented here. And of course, there's dire need for change in culture. The culture, I believe, you've not mentioned anything about corruption in Japan. So I believe corruption in Japan there must be zero tolerance in corruption in Japan. And so I think it is a good challenge for us. I'll leave it there. Other questions can come up later on about how we can partner. But I think it is important, Professor Okabe, I invite you to partner with us as Management University of Africa, because the ideas that you have are the same ideas that we have, but then you have actualized the ideas. We are still struggling on how we can actualize these ideas. So we really welcome you to be part of us. We shall contact you after this so that we can formalize that relationship. It is good that we already have a partnership with Kobe Gakuin University where you are, but now you as an individual, Professor Okabe, I think it would be good to have you on board. Thank you very much, and you are welcome. Sorry, you mentioned that you have never been to Africa, you've never been to Kenya. Please, make Kenya the first country for you. Immediately, COVID situation allows, please come visit us, travel so that you can see where we live. Thank you very much, and you're welcome.
Dr. Okio, thank you for many comments, and thank you for first of all, thank you for kind invitation to your country and to your university. I do hope my first visit to Africa is to your university and Nairobi, Kenya. And thank you very much. And I'd like to answer some for some of your questions. First of all, quick recover after the World War II. This is a very interesting phenomenon, maybe, and for especially for foreign people. For as already said, of course, and many Japanese cities were burned down by U.S. airstrike, and of course, and as you already know, headed 2 atomic bombs. But today, in my presentation, I talk about the continuity. This is one of the keywords for Japanese. Japanese love to continue, not only a business, but also work harder. I don't know, this is sometimes not a good tradition. Some Japanese businessmen work for a long time. I think the longest time in the world. For example, before we have the TV commercials said, let's fight 24 hours for businessman. This is not so good, but this is a joke. But continuity. So as I already said, our centralization law was made in 1940. So style keep continue after the World War II. As I already said, after U.S. occupational army came to Japan, we did not change the economic system. So sometimes, luckily, our bureaucrats were very smart. Of course, the bureaucrats is not smart. This is disastrous for the country. So I think our role is very important. We should educate students for good skill to become a good businessman, good government officials. So at first, why this is a very naive answer, but why Japan quickly recover after World War II. This is uh, one factor is Japanese character. Japanese loves the continuity. And the second one is an oldest company in Japan is an of course already continue. As already explained, continuity. So Japanese oldest company continue 1,300. Of course, but then this is also your question is completely right, because as I already said in my introduction, I'm also an honorary professor of the Ukrainian University. Ukraine is a younger country than Kenya, for example, because 29 years ago, Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union. So at first I explained Japanese company is very old, so let's make such kind of companies. But Ukrainian when I got the invitation from the presentation in the Ukrainian parliament, Ukrainian MPs a little bit some MPs face is not so comfortable, and he said I cannot wait such a long time because we should think for the next elections. But I think this is but it's only my lecture is like an example. So I think some most important thing is a continuity. It's okay, not so long, 1 year and second year, third year, 5 years, 10 years. We can keep continuous and innovation. Of course, and not only Japan but also each country will become a very will become a very good economic powers. And I'm sorry, and this is a very long answer, but then this is a final answer for your question and about like a bullet train. So I think if your country will make a bullet train like a Japanese one, I think of course even Japan could not make only our money, but maybe you will get low as I said low interest loan from the foreign countries or foreign banks. But of course, need much time to build and make a bullet train. So it also means a continuity. And making building a bullet train infrastructure, of course, will make some works in your country. So a very good effect, I think. I'm sorry, I'm not sure this is a good answer, but thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Miller. You may continue, please. Thank you very much, Professor Okabe.
Okay, once again, thank you very much. There were a couple of other questions, and I think one of them was from Professor Hopkins. Professor Hopkins, did you have something you wanted to ask directly, or I believe it was about the Shinkansen and the SGR?
Thank you. I didn't really hear all the presentation, but I'm tremendously impressed with what Japan has done on its bullet trains, and France too, also with their TGV, which has been going, I think, nearly 30 years, travels at 350 kilometers an hour, and both, I think, provide tremendous services and efficiency to the country. And I know somebody else here Michael Parrish mentioned that a light railway system in Nairobi would go a long way to reduce pollution and reduce congestion, and would be cheaper than having people drive their cars into the center of Nairobi. And I don't understand why in Kenya that the road lobby is so much stronger than the train lobby. It's obvious to me that a light railway in Kenya, two main axes through the center of the town, connecting, say, the airport to, I don't know, to the north, and Karen to Tika would be fantastic. And there's enough space to do it and enough energy in this country, and that could be done in 1 or 2 years. So I think any advice that that Japan and Professor Okabe could give on that would be very, very instructive. I caught the end of his presentation. I've lived and worked in 140 countries around the world. Unfortunately, I've never been to Japan, so I'm also fishing for an invitation. Is that really bad of me? I'm really sorry, but it would be lovely anyway to meet Professor Okabe when, and I'm sure he's going to come to Nairobi. I'm sorry to interrupt with this. By the way, last night I was with a crowd of my friends, senior people, including the British ambassador, and I mentioned the excellent work that MUA was doing, and also how impressive Dr. Washington has been as Vice Chancellor. He's in on everything, making comments everywhere. I think that is damn impressive. I don't know other. I mentioned that to my colleagues last night, who are quite senior in Kenya. And Professor Miller, I also enjoy very much your interventions. And please carry on. I'm sorry to make such a long statement, but Professor Okabe, any hints that you could give to Kenya government and the superbly intelligent people here on how a light railway could be helped, how it could be financed, who could do it, I think would be tremendously helpful to this country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Professor Okabe, which was quite an insightful presentation. Kimali, I'm a lecturer in economics myself at the Technical University of Mombasa. And two things stand out. One is, of course, that journey you've taken us through the Japanese development over time. And these are lessons Kenyans can learn. And one of the things, just as Dr. Michael Hopkins alluded to, Kenya, the capital city, is now renamed Nairobi Metropolitan Area. It has sort of carved out some counties, some areas, the counties that are neighboring Nairobi, and an expanded mandate. And I know one of the plans they have is to have a rail system, what Dr. Hopkins have just alluded to, a rail system to decongest Nairobi. And also they are constructing a highway from the airport to Westlands to try and decongest Nairobi. So I think Professor Okabe, you could offer a valuable advice as Dr. Washington and Miller, Prof. and Michael Hopkins as suggested. That would be really help the development. Now, two, the other thing, probably I talked about social capital, and I know one of the tenets of Japan is that closeness, respect of institutions. This is also something we could learn. I was in Japan with Professor Miller through his invitation, and I learned that the justice system and adherence to rules, even traffic regulations, is quite faithfully followed. So these are also some things, because when you have that foundation of having faith in institutions that drive development economy, having people who are also trusted, that can see the economy through. Of course, these are issues and aspects that we really need to learn from Japan. And I think MUA is quite a good effort you are making when we connect with such universities and we borrow experience from these countries. I would also wish Dr. Washington, Technical University of Mombasa, we also have that link through also Mila and when Yoshiko Okabe comes over, we also have that partnership and see how we can build the synergy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for very much. Thank you for a very good question. At first, I'd like to, of course, I should and I'd like to answer your question. But at first, today, at first today, I had almost all participants from the Burundi. So today, I already checked some information, for example, Wikipedia and the country Burundi, but I have not so much information about Kenya. But of course, I'd like to say some answer and the comments. And first of all, this is a layer system. Now, of course, in my lecture, I explained that Japanese Shinkansen system as an infrastructure. And if I'm sorry, I didn't see and I didn't know much information, but before I saw on TV news about Kenyan railways, and maybe you already have some not bread train, but very wrong way from the this is the name is the Mombasa Nairobi Standard gauge railway, and this is I suppose this is of course constructed by the China and the Chinese government, maybe a loan from the China, and of course I suppose as Dr. Washington said, of course, my first visit to Africa will be and should be in Kenya. And so I'd like to see by myself. But I suppose that this, of course, maybe infrastructure and, for example, a building of the station is very good looking. But I suppose that this is, of course, loaned, maybe loaned by the Chinese government, and because this is now China has a strategy of the one belt, one road. So on, this is from the Shanghai to the Africa and the United Kingdom. But of course, sometimes maybe as you already know, problem was happened because China can make a very good. Of course, I'm not just in case I should say, of course, I had many friends in China, and I have not so much bad feeling for the China. But I think an economic One Belt One Road project is an front and behind of the coins. This is of course at first, they will make the infrastructure and good looking and good station, good port, good train system. But of course, budget is from the Chinese government, and sometimes this is a not so low rate profit, low rate loan. And as I already said, Japan was in the first as in the first question after the World War II. Our country was burned down by the USA strike one time, but then after that we will very quick. Reason why we could recover very quickly because this is an we received luckily we received low rate loans from the World Bank and from America. So this is a most very important thing is an infrastructure, as I said. But then secondary, most more important is an where you should get the budget or loan and with low rate. I'm sorry. This is an I don't know. This is it's a direct answer for your question. But then in the question from the Dr. Hopkins, there was about for example noise and pollutions. And now I also have to say Japanese Shinkansen and the rail system is a very low pollution and very low noise. This is also higher our technology. So I recommend our our train system. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. That was very, very insightful. Dr. Okeo, did you want to make a comment just before I finish off for that? There are
Professor Miller, I think we need to manage time now.
Yes, we do.
Because we have really, it's now 11 o'clock.
Right.
And I realized the presentations, the breakout rooms is supposed to start at 11:30. So we need to manage so that we finish the few presentations which are left.
Yes, yes. Okay.
I don't know if there are any. Can you manage that so that we manage time going forward, please?
Yes, we have one with Yoshimuta Sensei. But just a last quick comment. Once again, Dr. Okabe, thank you very much. You know, persistence makes us stronger. And I gave you a big request yesterday about today. So I really want to say thank you for your persistence. And I really hope we can lead to more links with several universities, but certainly MUA is one that I would really encourage. So once again, thank you so much. And we'll be in touch about
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, thank you so much. And Dr. Okeo, I hope to see you soon in your university. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So,
could we hear from Professor Yoshimuta? Is next.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay. Yes. Can we have breakout session?
Sure.